Welcome to another Automazing Conversation. This one we're covering the car culture scene in Israel. Israel isn't a country that many would necessarily associate with car culture, but over recent years, it has massively expanded. The scene has grown massively, I would say. And to guide us through all of that is a podcaster, former radio host, also just a general all-round car enthusiast. Welcome to an Automazing Conversation with Noam Bar-El. So, Noam, I guess first of all, could you tell the audience a bit about your origins of your passion for cars and what you do in the car world?
Thanks. Anyway, first of all, thanks for inviting me. It's my pleasure. I start and say in a sentence or two what I'm doing today. Yeah. So first of all, I help people find rare cars they cannot like open Facebook Marketplace or places where usually you buy cars. So I help people find special pieces, rare cars. If it's old Porsches, some crazy Ferraris and stuff like that. Um, Things you cannot buy new today and things you cannot import today because of the rules. I guess we'll talk about it later.
Sure.
So I do this. I'm also a content creator on Instagram and TikTok. Um, Posts about cars. I do videos about cars and sports cars, old, new. I also had a podcast um, where I interviewed racing drivers from Israel and people around the culture. I have a car club, the 20s. It's about 20 until 30 people age with their sports car. You won't find their Ferraris and Porsches, but you will find the car guys that in their blood, it's only cars who like you don't see cars there. You see people's heart with wheels on
Mhm.
wheels. That's what you see there. So that's the most of the things I'm doing here. Yeah. Um,
Okay.
about my origins, you asked also. Started when I was a kid. My father, he always had like American muscles, weird cars. Uh, they always had problems, but it always was like something else. He has like Chrysler's and Pontiacs, like things I guess you see more than we see here.
Probably.
And
Yeah. It's
yeah,
some of the more local muscle stuff, yeah.
yeah, you used to take me to car meets when I was like 10 years old. I'm 25 now. Very south at all. Yeah.
Mhm. Oh, that's really cool. I guess also it will be useful to discuss the car scene in general in Israel. As I said earlier, as most people abroad by now associate Israel intrinsically with car culture, like many other, say, like car making countries. Could you also maybe elaborate on some of the difficulties that people in the car community generally have faced, such as owners, importers, tuners, sort of all throughout the car community?
Yeah. So the rules are very strict. I mean, the government, the rules. I mean, the law is not really accepting tuning cars or importing cars easily. You can import cars like only if they um produced like 2 years ago. Only if they were produced 2 years ago, or they are 30 years old or more, like vintage cars. And the 28 years between, you cannot import cars, which is
Mhm.
kind of block us from giving here some special cars. But that's also what I'm doing in my daily work, that I'm help find cars that are already based here. So with the contacts I have from the 15 plus years I'm in this culture, that's how I like, to find these rare peoples. So yeah, tuning is also another thing you see here common. I mean, even changing the wheels like to a different or your tires to a different size. it's not acceptable. Even making your brakes better, which will make your car stop better. It's not legal here. Yeah, every little thing we feel like the law and the police they say it for us, and it's annoying. But if you look like you look more about the bigger picture, you can see that nowadays, each and every day, I think the car culture in Israel is getting bigger, and even the laws are slowly going through to help us. I mean, nowadays we have three racing tracks here. Let's start like, I mean, even 10 years ago, we had no tracks here, nothing at all. And now, a few years later, I mean, in 2018, I think the first one of the three, since then, I mean, three racing tracks, they are in use almost daily. People love it. You know, they're not the biggest, they're not the best, but it's the starting of something else. And also you can see the growth of the imports of cars uh, from the main dealerships and also from the self imports. It's getting crazy. I mean, if you look in 2018, GP3 RS was new, 991.1. So we had here only three of them. And as you can see, a few years later, we have now the 992 generations. And we have now nine cars of them, which is crazy. It's like three times what we had a few years ago. I think it says a lot.
True. And just to put that into perspective, I think people often forget that Israel's a really tiny country, but it's only now approaching 10 million people in terms of its population.
Mhm.
Historically, there weren't that many cool cars coming in, and so suddenly in the past 10 years, you see this growth you see all the Weissach Pack RSs and PTS GT3s and all of the various Ferraris. I think I saw a post that you recently did on Instagram that said it's around 200 Ferraris in the country now, which is since
Exactly.
2011. That's pretty crazy that in that short period of time it's grown that much.
Mhm. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I remember. I cannot forget the day Auto Italia, that was the name of the company who brought here Ferrari and Maserati. It was in 2011. I can't forget this day. I mean, it changed like almost everything. I mean, you could not imagine people buying your cars. I mean, I'll tell to the listeners, the viewers, I don't know if they know. In Israel, if you want to buy a new car, you're paying taxes 130%, something like that.
yeah,
So, so even if you're looking at 2011, Ferrari 458, for example, cost something like 2 million shekels. We're talking about 15 years ago. It's
yeah.
crazy. We, I mean, even the dealership,
Mm.
they didn't think they're gonna sell that much. But nowadays, yeah, 15 years after, we have like something like 200, as you said, Ferraris here.
Mhm. I remember seeing there was a post by another account. Some people listening might know of it. I think it was cararchive.il. They did a post about I forget exactly who was importing at the time, but there was one of the importers was trying to get Ferrari into Israel back in the early 2000s, and there
Yeah.
was a 456 prototype and a 575 that was imported into the country by Ferrari. And they tried to see if there was a market at the time. They said there wasn't. And so it's interesting to see in the past 20 years, Ferrari saying there isn't any market in this small country to now there is. And you're seeing on an almost weekly basis more and more cool Ferraris and uh, cool paint colors, crazy options lists, all coming into the country at quite a rapid rate. So that is really quite interesting. Just again to put into perspective for the audience, uh,
Mhm.
Norm, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was that, for example, the Ferrari F8 or something like that, you would see a list price, like base list price over here in the US, something like 300 something thousand dollars, whereas in Israel, automatically, just because of taxes, that would be the equivalent of 700,000 US dollars at least.
Yeah, we can say it's $700. That's what you said. Yeah, it is something like that. Maybe 650 if you want to be nice. But yeah, it's kind of the
Yeah.
same. I mean, it's crazy. when you see here people driving, let's say even for the top Ferraris, you see the 48 Pista, you see the new Ferrari, the Michelin, and you're saying these guys drives hypercars in a different cities. I
True.
mean the Dodi Ticcilerdi, we got now one full spec with crazy things, even painted shields. By the way, only painted shields here there are more than 100,000 shekels. Only the painted shields.
Hmm.
So this example came almost to 4 million shekel cars. If you do the
Yeah.
math, it's more than it's something like 1,200,000. I mean,
Yeah.
you can get some crazy cars over there where you live, I guess.
True. True.
So
Yeah, for like for what is ultimately I don't know if you can call it base model, but for a series production Ferrari that is already pushing up. But it's interesting that still that people are um able to still go for all these cars and how much that yeah really just expanded in the past few years. So on that topic, because Israel is a very particular market, are the sort of people who buy these sorts of cars, the Ferraris, the Porsches, or the classic imports as well, are these the sort of people who will maybe take the cars on the track or on twisty roads, or are they just classic collectors?
that's what I said with the Ferrari Israeli general manager. And he told me, I think, like, I mean, I know there are rich people in Israel. I know people are buying these crazy cars. By the way, Rolls Royce, they started importing Rolls Royce here in self imports, and it's getting crazy. I mean, you can see here now Spectre, the new electric one. You can see the Cullinan. You can see Ghost. And by the way, the most expensive car ever sold in Israel till today, right? Correctly nowadays, it's a Rolls Royce Cullinan, fully specced with an Tiffany interior. It costed like 5.5 million shekels, which is insane. It's
Mm-hmm.
insane. And the general manager in Ferrari told me sentence. He told me, Noam, you don't even know how many rich people there are in Israel. So I guess you ask, who are these people? I guess like in every country, you have the collectors, you have the ones who drive their cars, and you'll see them in Jerusalem, nice roads, or in the deserts, nice roads, or even in the racetracks. And you also got, the guys, the young ones, like people who just did an exit. Israel is also named the startup nation. People here are like doing a lot of exits sometimes. And yeah, you can see, you know what? I a few months ago, and then there was this guy driving a Porsche Dakar 911. We have only two here in Israel.
Yep.
And I was with Porsche's social media manager and asked her, "Whoa, the car it just passed." I asked her, "Who is this guy?" Oh, she told me, "Oh, it just this one." It's crazy. It's 2 million shekels cars, and people that are not always have been to this hobby, we're joining now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's amazing.
Um, so, do you think this is because um, all the OEMs and the private importers are able to make the cars more available now than it was in the past? So it's just much more accessible for people?
Definitely not. It's only getting expensive more and more.
Mhm.
Um, but I do think that yeah, there are more people getting rich. Maybe. Also, don't be. Uh, I also have to say there are a lot of people here in Israel that are poor. Yeah, it's crazy this distance between these two things. Uh, but yeah, people here sometimes you can find the poor ones, and sometimes you can find the rich people who has like 20 cars. I know personally people has 20 cars. And I also know people that are getting hard to pay the rent for the house. Yeah, it's crazy.
You said that there are a lot more people getting into the car hobby in Israel. What do you think? It's just in general a lot of opening up factors, like much more of the dealers, more racetracks, more clubs, maybe. Do you think that this is something that like the community is like trying to cater for all this interest or trying to create the interest, or is it just like a natural growth?
I think it's also natural, but I think it's also popular than it ever was today. I mean, you can see it even in the TV where everybody watches DRS. I mean, the
Oh
DRS,
yeah, yeah, sure.
DTS, Drive to Survive. That's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, everybody's watching DTS. Formula One, it's got like popular in a crazy way. And yeah, you see nowadays, you remember we were talking that day. I was just passing by in Herzliya. I saw two Lambos. I saw a lot of Carreras, 911, Ferraris. I mean, it's more common than it ever has been. Um, so I mean, yeah, I think that it also makes people think twice. Think maybe it's possible here in Israel. And you also asked earlier about the car culture in Israel. I'd love to say to people who don't know, in Israel, it's amazing. When Friday is coming, you can go to something like 5 to 10 different car meets around Israel, maybe even more. But the weekly ones, we're gonna see their crazy cars each and every Friday. People are getting out. When you drive on the roads on Friday, you can say it's Friday. You'll see a Miata, you'll see Porsche, you'll see Ferrari, you'll see Lambos, like it's a holiday. Yeah, the car culture here is getting bigger and bigger. Also on TikTok and Instagram, it's very popular now. And who is not on the social media is not exist. Uh, yeah, so it's getting more and more popular these days.
Do you think it's also that the car scene is also growing because of the growing number of racing drivers also coming out of Israel? That before, we didn't really have too many racing drivers coming out of the country. It was very difficult for drivers to get started, particularly with competing abroad. And now we have like a whole new generation of racing drivers coming out of Israel. Do you think that's also a big factor?
I think it can affect the younger generation,
Mhm.
and it's also I think which is possible. By the way, you cannot be a racing driver if you don't have a lot of money. One of the
Oh,
most expensive like sports in the world, I think.
mhm.
But I don't think it really affects the car culture. I do think it affects the young generation to try and fulfill new dreams. In my podcast, I interviewed new racing drivers which are very young. I mean, I had interviewed Ariel Elkin, which was there, and then a year and a half ago, he was in Formula 4, and now he's in Formula 3. He's driving amazing tributes. He's doing nice tributes for the hostages in Gaza, kept in Gaza these days. I don't know if you saw it. Once he raced with the helmet full of
Yeah,
pictures
with the
of
photos of
each and every,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Instead of waving the trophy with the helmet, it says it has done a crazy buzz on the media in Israel. He interviewed everywhere. People loved it, and it was a tiny moment. It was not like event or something, but it was just the start of the war. And yeah, means a lot. I mean, these young people. He was only 16. Now he's 17 or 18, and people see him as a role model. Yes.
Um, so we were also talking a bit about motorsport. And over the past 2, 3 years, Israel had its first ever hill climbs, drifting championships. It also has radical one-make racing as well. Um, do you know of anything that's on the horizon for motorsport in Israel?
Um, Listen, actually, first of all, you're right. As we said, few years we had no tracks here. Now we do have tracks here. We have recent tracks. We have competitions there, and we also have hill climbs where you can find them on the streets, legally, totally legal. But they block like in a legal way. They block the roads on on the hill climbs on the hills in the desert, and you can see these things and the drift events more often. It's amazing. I mean, we had last week we had a drifting contest in just the middle of the country around Tel Aviv. And next month, because the last one was a successful event, we have another one next month in the north. I remember times when you heard like drag race in Israel once a year, and that's it. It was crazy. It was like a holiday, and we were waiting an entire year for the next one. Nowadays, you can find two drift events in 1 month. You can find drag races. You can find, as you said, we have the Peugeot Championship, where they have 206 cars, which is also about kind of the same cars, different drivers, which is interesting. And you can see
Mhm.
I mean, who has the more skills, that's the one who wins.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think the culture here is getting bigger each and every second.
Mhm. Uh, so I guess to wrap up, could you give us any sneak peeks into upcoming imports, any new interesting cars that are coming to Israel?
Reveltos are on the way,
Mhm.
Lamborghini Revelto. Um, yeah,
Which,
we
sorry,
can.
background for the viewers. Uh, Lamborghini does not have an official dealer in Israel, yet there's quite a number of Lamborghinis in the country through private imports, particularly
Mhm.
Huracans, Aventadors, Urus as well. And so now you're saying there's like a whole bunch of Revueltas that are coming into the country.
Yeah, I can tell you this car will cost something about around 4 or 5 million shekels, depends of
Mhm.
the things you add on it. It's an insane, it's an insane amount of money. But as I said earlier, that the car culture here is getting bigger and bigger. Even when you see the cars in the streets and the people who buy the car, I can tell you now, if you can find things you wouldn't see a few years ago, and I'm talking about GT3 RS, you can find in dealership. In the past, it was only for the people who already invited them specifically for them. And nowadays, you can find GT3 RS just standing in the dealership waiting for a new owner. It was
Really?
built also a 4 or 5 million cars. I know they're on the ways, on their way only for a customer that still doesn't exist. Someone just to pass by and or the collectors, I mean. Yeah, so nowadays you can find these cars just for sale here, which is crazy where you don't have a dealership. So I know Roberto's are on the way. Also crazy vintage cars. Um, yeah, there's a lot of surprises waiting ahead. That's all I can tell by now.
Well, Noam, it's been great discussing ever-growing car culture in Israel in some ways because of some of the restrictions that people face. I guess some people would describe it as something like a Hong Kong maybe or Singapore in terms of restrictions. But on the other hand, every day it's growing, especially considering the fact that over the past few decades there wasn't too much car culture seen in the country. And now with all the racing tracks, with all the new motorsport events, private imports, it's growing every single day.
First of all, thanks a lot again for inviting me. And I must say that I was really surprised from your knowledge in our culture, where it's so far away physically from you, but your knowledge is like way better than people I know here that doing it for years.
Uh,
Uh,
Thank you. Thank you.
and I must say, if I can,
Mhm.
please follow me on Instagram or social media. The name
Of
is
course.
Nabakars. Nabakar, it's Nabakar. CARS. That's it. Yeah, I'm doing videos about cars, and if you like it, I guess you'll have fun looking at my pages.
Of course. Yep, everyone please follow Noam on Instagram, posting always cool photos every single day. Um, what was the most recent one you posted? I think it was one of the I think it was Ultraviolet, was it? 992 GT3 RS Weissach pack was one of the most recent ones. I remember you also
Yeah,
posted
yeah.
recently about some private imports, I think from Dubai it was. It was a Ferrari Purosangue, Rolls-Royce Cullinan, some other things as well.
Yeah, this one, the first Sangre and the Rolls Royce, they were like in a transit. But we do have here now the Ultraviolet GT3 RS, which is clearly the top spec car we ever had here. I mean, this it's a thing you see only abroad. It's amazing. And yeah, recent post is another GT3. We just got now the Cicciolini here are coming now. The GTS has came lately.
The new
Um, sorry,
the new hybrid.
the Carrera.
Yeah, like the GTS hybrid. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're getting low. Like we have already more than 10. Yeah, I was
Okay.
talking about the Dodi Cicciolini GTS. I mean the open roof ones.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's getting bigger each and every second here. The car.
Well, that's great to hear. Noam, thank you again for coming onto the podcast. Look forward to having you again soon.
Thank you very much for inviting me and for your time. I appreciate it. And keep doing your job. You're doing it great.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. And everyone, please stick around for more podcasts. We're going to have some more cool car people discussing different aspects of the car scene all around the world, not just in Israel. So stick around for more episodes.